All right, good evening, everybody. Again, we're here for the Pennsylvania Avenue Reconstruction public meeting. We're going to give folks just a couple minutes to sign on here to, some people may have had to go register through the Zoom process. So I want to give people just a minute or two here before we get started. All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Neighbor. I'm the city engineer for the city of Des Moines, and happy to present this project, which includes the Pennsylvania Avenue Reconstruction project. The limits are from just north of University Avenue, where there's, if you're familiar, there's a stretch and the approach of University Avenue that's concrete. So starting at about that, where the concrete ends, all the way north to East Washington Avenue is the limits of the pavement reconstruction. So this meeting is to talk about what that project is. We appreciate everyone doing this meeting in Zoom. Unfortunately, the pandemic continues on, and so we appreciate everyone's patience in doing these meetings virtually. We would rather have these meetings in person. We feel it's better in person to interact, but with the pandemic, this has also been a nice tool to hold these meetings. And the other benefit is we are actually able to record these. So if folks are unable to attend, they can watch this meeting and get the information at a later time. So that being said, with the Zoom, hopefully just kind of a little how to operate Zoom. You can see, hopefully you see a menu bar that looks kind of like this at the bottom of your screen. If you click on participants, there's a way to, you click on participants, you're able to actually click on raise your hand, raise hand. And so we asked in a matter to try and keep the meeting orderly, and so everyone gets a chance to ask questions or have comments. We ask that you raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. If you're on a phone, I'm not seeing anybody on a phone in the register, but if you're on a phone, press *9 to raise your hand, and then you can press *6 to unmute yourself. So again, if you're on a phone, press *9 to raise your hand, and to mute or unmute yourself, press *6. Again, otherwise, for those of you that are on a laptop or a smart device or application, then please use the menu bar there with the participants to raise your hand. Again, so I'm going to give a quick presentation, and I have some team members on with me, John Davis and Brad Brockman, Dave Camp, and Tom Block, all with the city. They're involved in the project design and engineering and planning. I also see we have our council member, Linda Westergaard, who is on the meeting as well. So thank you, Councilmember Westergaard. And I know Councilmember Voss just sent me a message. Councilmember Voss is also going to jump on here soon. He's just getting back from another personal conflict. So this project, as you can see in the bottom of your screen, it is actually funded thanks to the local option sales and service tax. So thanks to that passing of that sales and service tax, the city has definitely, to say the least, accelerated a lot of roadway improvements, including this one. And so that's how this project is being funded through local option sales and service tax. That's pretty much solely the funding source. It's not going to be an assessment or any tax directly on any of the adjacent property owners. This project again is funded through local option by the local option sales and service tax. So I want to cover why is this project needed, what the proposed improvements are, the anticipated sequence of construction and phasing, and the schedule, and then I'd like to open it up for questions and comments. So that's what I'd like to cover today. Again, we're talking about Pennsylvania Avenue between north of University to East Washington. So why is this project needed? I think hopefully if you've driven down the street, you're probably obviously familiar with this photo. Due to pavement condition, this road needs to be fully reconstructed. We at the city have a pavement management system where we try and apply the correct rehabilitation method to streets to keep them in good condition. That's a balance. What you see is in the city is a balance of reconstruction projects, full reconstruction, meaning we have to actually excavate down all the way down to the dirt and rebuild the whole pavement structure, to resurfacing projects where we mill down anywhere from 2 to 4 inches and put a new surface and do some patching and put a new surface back on, down to preventative maintenance type measures like slurry sealing, where we actually our public works crews go out and put a coating, if you will, a mixture on the road to actually preserve the road and alleviate the deterioration. So in this case, this road resurfacing would not provide a longevity life, and it would not be the best application for this. So this road actually needs full reconstruction. So that's the driver of the project, why this project started. When we get into do things like full reconstruction, we do turn to our transportation master plan, which is called Move DSM. And we look at, well, since we're actually completely tearing up the road, how should we put it back? Well, the transportation master plan is our vision. And as part of this project, the Pennsylvania Avenue, this section of Pennsylvania Avenue is on the core bicycle network. And so this gives us the time, this would be the time, since we have everything tore up, to actually put the road back the way we want it, and also put in the shared use trail. And we'll show that a little bit later here. So that's also a need in our planning efforts. Well, since we're reconstructing, now would be the time to do that. So again, from an overview standpoint, the reconstruction limits are shown here in yellow. The reconstruction limits are essentially just north of the Lutheran Hospital Drive. So north of University Avenue, you'll see that the pavement today changes from concrete to asphalt. So essentially at the end of that concrete street there, or concrete piece, so north of the Lutheran Hospital Drive, all the way up to East Washington Avenue. So that's the limits of the reconstruction. In terms of a shared use trail, the gap to fill at this shared use trail will actually go from University all the way down to Berlin Marina, where the new trail was built. And so again, this would be a 10-foot wide trail. Today, there's either a gap, or sometimes there's a sidewalk, or there's a 7-foot wide type sidewalk down there. So this would be a 10-foot wide trail. This is a highly used trail, and obviously the connection between downtown to our Berlin Marina is critical, and has a lot of high use. So this is why we need to do a 10-foot wide trail here. So again, here the pink is showing the 10-foot wide trail. When we look at rebuilding the pavement, this would be the pavement section. The current pavement section is 30 feet back of curb to back of curb. We are, in order to get the trail in, we are proposing and we're planning to put in a 27-foot back of curb to back of curb. That 27 feet is a common width for our streets, including our collector streets. This would be considered a collector or community residential street as planned in the Move DSM. 27 feet back to back meets the fire code from a standpoint of providing a street that if there is parking on one side, that emergency response can respond, and then also allows, if there's parking on one side, two-way traffic. And so that's why how we come up with the 27 back to back. It would allow the opportunity for parking on one side. Then as you can see over on the left side of the page there, on the west side of the road, that's where we were proposing in the 10-foot trail, roughly 5 feet, a lot of cases 5 feet off the back of curb. We generally desire a minimum 5-foot parkway, or parking as sometimes referred, grass parkway area. That's because a 5 foot is typically needed to really allow vegetation growth, in addition to providing the buffer between the roadway and the shared use trail. So again, here, and this also shows, again, we're talking about building a full brand new pavement with a cement digging all the way down to the dirt, and cement treating that base, that sub base, and then building it all the way back up with a hot mix asphalt base course and brand new hot mix asphalt surface course. So we would be looking at 8.5 inches of brand new pavement. So this again shows the pavement section that we're looking at here. Looking a little closer at the improvements, again, as I mentioned, the Charities Trail starts at University and goes the full length. So the trail is shown in pink here. The reconstruction limits shown in yellow. As I mentioned, they're starting just north of University Avenue and continuing on. And so through there, as you can see with the shared use trail, that in some cases will require new driveway aprons to be replaced. You can see them here in orange. And then the reconstruction limits, as I mentioned, stop at East Washington Avenue. However, the trail does need to go is needed to go all the way down to connect to our newer trail down by Birdland Marina. So, and this image right here shows that trail going all the way down to connect to the new trail down at Birdland Marina. Again, when we talk about reconstruction, these are example photos to show you what it looks like. There's no sugarcoating this. Reconstruction is extremely impactful. Yes, it would be easier for us to resurface, but resurfacing just will not fix the pavement. We'd be back in a very short amount of time again later if we resurface the street. It would not be actually fixing the problem. So we do need to dig down. As you see here, here's kind of what we anticipate is the sequence of construction. And so we would actually need to dig down all the way down to the dirt subbase, as you see in this photo. There will be some storm sewer work, associated with this project. So this is kind of an example of that utility work. Then finally, we would get to the roadway paving, and then building the trail, shared use trail on the west side. And then finally would be restoration. So hopefully these photos give you kind of an example of what we're looking at here. When we talk about full reconstruction, it's definitely impactful. You're talking about completely tearing everything up. And so when we do that, because we're tearing everything up, we've got to find a way to minimize as much as we can disruption to our residents and folks that live and work along the corridor. And so we are proposing to do this in phases. And so the phases start, essentially the anticipated phase would be to go from the hospital entrance up to Neola Avenue. And you can see here's the detour, East 9th. During the reconstruction, we would use East 9th Street as the detour route for access. So East 9th will be the detour. So again, going from this phase, starting off in phases, the Lutheran Hospital entrance up to Neola. Then we would go from Neola up to essentially up to just north of Cleveland. We have it listed here at 1410 Penn Avenue. And so that would be the next phase. Again, still using East 9th as the detour. And then the final reconstruction phase would take us up to East Washington. Oh, I'm sorry, actually the next phase would take us up to this western portion of East Washington. And then finally get up to Washington. So again, trying to do this in phases to try and preserve access as much as possible to the businesses. And so when we talk about that, that preserving access will mean on times building temporary drives, access roads, just for to get to those businesses. And so that's why we do it in stages, to try and coordinate that, so we can try and maintain access to all those access points along Pennsylvania Avenue. And then here at stage, so it's the whole trail. The trail could be combined with street improvements. These are things that we would work with the contractor on once we get a contractor on board, and we actually bid the project and get a contractor on board, and how that would actually fit in with the project. So we talk about schedule for the project. We're looking at a spring through the end of summer here to design. Then we'd hope to have construction drawings prepared this winter for bidding. And then the construction would actually occur hopefully starting in the spring of 22, so spring of next year. And we do anticipate it's likely a 2-season project. So that's what we're looking at right now. I do want to put this up on the screen. Brad Brockman is our project engineer. So if folks have comments that they think of later, or have more detailed questions they'd like to talk through, Brad is our main designer, project engineer, and definitely has more of the details on the project. Again, we still are. We have not completed the design, so we're a little early on. We like to hold these meetings, our public meetings, earlier, just in case there are feedback that could alter how we design and put the construction documents together and the staging together. So while we don't probably have all the answers today, Brad would be definitely the one as the project progresses in its design and into construction, will be the one who's managing that. So here's Brad Brockman's information. So with that said, it not a very long presentation, but I would like to pause. I have Dave Camp, John Davis, Brad Brockman, Tom Vlock with me as well. So are there any attendees that have any questions or comments?
Hi, this is Jeannie Ann Bowers, and I am the property manager for the Riverview Oaks there at 1410 Penn. My concern is what's going to happen with the tenants parking, especially if you're going to be blocking off the drives there. Do you guys know? You're probably not going to know much of an answer with that one right now, are you?
Let's see here. Let me try and see if I can get.
I have 3 drives.
Let me go here to your driveway here. Bear with me just a second. Let me get up to the aerial here.
Fine. Mm-hmm.
You're off of this Riverview right here, Jeannie?
Yep.
Okay.
No,
she's further to the north.
Oaks up here. You're a little bit further. Riverview Oaks apartment.
North, down 1.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're a little too far.
might be.
Right.
Missing
you're right.
that.
You're...
Here, let me. I apologize. My volume is not. It's a little difficult. So you want me to go one more north?
Correct.
Here, let me just go to the staging here. Are we talking right here?
Yes. Yeah, I got the 6 buildings there. I've got 2 down in what I call my hole that only have the 1 drive access. But then my other, where my 4 buildings are at, I have 2 drive access to it. But my concern is when you guys block off are you going to be blocking off all 3 of those at the same time? Are you doing it simultaneously? How are you going to do that? And how are my tenants going to, because right now I'm already at a problem with parking anyway. So if I pull my hole up here to my big area to park, we're not gonna have enough spots.
So
We have
yeah,
nowhere
so
to-
this is Dave Camp. So the plan is that the number of parking spots would not necessarily be impacted, but you can see, I think Brad may have been talking to the property owner, maybe not you as the property manager.
Yes,
but
correct. Mike. Mhm.
So they've been talking about putting in temporary accesses between the parking lots to keep access in and out of those driveways when one is being, because I think one of them may, you have three in that location. So having the contractor provide a temporary access between the parking lots so the folks can still get out and still access the apartment complex. You're right. The same is going to happen up at the Lutheran Hospital. We just have a lot of high density parking in this area, and typically we don't stage this in so many stages. But knowing that the density through here, we are chopping up the project into stages to keep people getting access back and forth to their homes.
Okay, because I could just see all my people down in the hole coming up here and carrying their children and their groceries down.
Yep. And on the east side of the street, the density is not as high. So some of those folks may not be able to access their drives through the construction. It's just not feasible to hit every single driveway. But when you have a very dense parking lot like these, that's when we tried to stage it as best as we could. So
Okay, awesome. Okay, that was my only question I've got. Now, when do you typically think, okay, so you said it's going to be starting around the spring of 2022, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then ending, because I'm going to get my tenants fully prepared for you guys, so we don't have a lot of people out there.
So what'll happen is when we bid this out, we'll find out who the contractor is, and then we can provide more information on specific timeframes with both changeable message boards and door hangers to the properties along the route.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And let me also just put up again Brad's information. Please definitely write that down, the 283-4070 number, 283-4070 number, just if there's any follow-up questions or to keep in contact throughout this.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and building the temporary access is pretty common. We've been doing that. I know, for example, I live on the east side. We have East Douglas under construction, and we actually have the contractor build a temporary gravel granular road between drives for people to get access to their properties. And that's, as Dave mentioned, why we are doing so many stages, because we do want to minimize the distance of those temporary accesses as well. So
yeah, I was real impressed with the Fleur Drive, how you guys had that for those residents over there. You had that a temporary access for them. So I kind of thought maybe that's probably what you guys were going to do, but that's not how Bogey presented it to me. So I just wanted to kind of make sure of that. So yeah, because they're already very, very early morning workers and come home late at night.
yep.
So, all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Hey, Steve, Jack Doherty here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi.
I'm at 1706 Pennsylvania Avenue, so I'm just in the area where only the trail will be worked on, not the street, but I do have a couple questions. When you talk about the schedule going through 2 seasons, would you open the street back up during the winter and then start construction again in the spring? Or what's the plan for the winter?
Yeah, that's typically the case. And now, Brad or Dave, we probably don't have the staging set to where we would get, but that we typically would shut it down in the winter to obviously allow snow removal and those sort of things. Unless we, I guess, had a real mild winter, but that's typically we always are shut down for, especially in the heart of it. So,
And we would put in the contract provisions that they would have to open up Pennsylvania Avenue. And of course, some contractors might get it done sooner than others, but we are probably planning on a 2-season construction season, just so everyone's prepared for that. But yes, it would be open for the winter to traffic.
Okay, thank you for that. A couple more, if I may. So at my house at 1706, and at the house neighboring me, which is 1712 Penn Avenue, there's iron curbs. And I was not able to dig up the documentation yet, but I think it exists. At one point in time, the city talked about taking out the iron curbs and replacing them with concrete curbs. And there was some resistance to that. And I believe there was a city council action saying that we were, due to the historic nature of those iron curbs, they were going to be kept. Real quick, the history on that is these two houses were built by the owners of Eagle Iron Works, and so that's why there's iron curbs in front of here. So there's some historical significance for that. So I just want to check and see if you've made plans for retaining those.
I think the plan in this particular area, and you're talking the curbs in front of, I can see them from the street view. We had not, and I'm not familiar with that council action that said to retain them. I'm just not familiar with that. The plan was in this particular area was to only address the trail. So we had not looked into any of the street improvements in that location. So our focus was mainly on the trail in this area.
Okay. So that being the case, the assumption would probably be that you wouldn't have any reason to mess with the curbs there.
That is correct.
Okay, super. And then I'm working with Brad Brockman on some of the details that I won't try to bore everybody with right now, but bigger picture as far as the width and kind of what happens with my sidewalk and my property in front of my house. Trying to get a handle on that. So it looks like you're going with a narrower street by 3 feet, but now the trail is going to be wider by 10 feet. So are you also increasing the width of the parking there? What I'm trying to get a handle on is it sounds like the trail will still get pushed to the further to the west than it is now. So it would come a little bit further closer to my property. Does that?
So in your area, I'm just looking up real quick the exact widths that are here. Bear with me.
And just for clarification, and Dave and Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, but the street is actually only getting narrowed or put to 27 feet between the hospital entrance and East Washington. So south of East Washington. The street the street would probably stay the same, width north of East Washington. But Dave, you're looking up how the trail.
Correct.
So the trail would increase from, I think it's 7 feet to 10 feet, if I remember. Is that
correct? The sidewalk in front of your house currently is a little bit wider than a normal sidewalk, but yet it's not quite wide enough for a trail. So it's just trying to fit an extra 3 feet in that area. And Brad and I have been talking about what to do and the concerns you had in front of your property as well. So,
we can continue to work on that. I don't necessarily mean to waste everybody's time with that, but I just the street width change was something new to me, so I just want to double check on that. So.
Yeah, that's mainly south of Washington.
Okay. Also, it sounds like we'll, need to lose access to our driveway for some period of time while that new trail gets put through there. which is part of the deal, which we're okay with. Just trying to get a handle on what we think the time frame of that might be.
Typically in this section, driveways usually will take, if we were to say a conservative estimate, a day to remove the drive, a day to form it, a day to pour it, and 2 days to have it cure out and harden. Now that's a very, very conservative estimate of time. So like I say, some contractors do it extremely quick and some will take a little bit longer. So we kind of usually tell folks about a week, just so you're prepared. And when it comes in sooner than that, that's, better. So that's just a rule of thumb.
And Dave, just to clarify, you're talking about a scenario that would likely be north of East Washington.
That is correct.
Because we're just the trail is being added through the driveway. The driveways that are in the reconstruction portion, which is shown in yellow, south of Washington, those obviously that would be kind of the duration of the reconstruction, and so there would be lengthy time periods where you'd be driving on gravel ramps to get to the driveway. So
correct. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just plan on 3, 4, 5 days or something like that, and we can definitely work with that because we're excited to have that nice new trail. So that's really all the big questions I had. All the others are kind of detail things that I can work with Brad on. So that's all for now.
Make sure I go back to Brad's contact just to make sure folks on the Zoom can see. Again, Brad Brockman, 283-4070. If there's any for those that have details or follow-up questions. We do intend to, in September, move forward with the final design and start on final design and preparation of construction bid documents. And that's where we would work out more of these details. And so that's why, again, I appreciate all the comments. And, Jack, thank you for the comments on the iron curb. That's something we'll have to work around when we as we do the design of that trail. So there. Okay. All right, do I have any other comments? I also see again, I mentioned thank you, Councilmember Westergaard and Councilmember Voss. Thank you for joining us. And
one question for Jack. Is the iron curb something you want to see kept in place or something you wanted to be removed and replaced?
I kept in place would be the best.
Okay.
Option.
Okay.
Okay.
And Jack, you could always have it removed and then hang it on the wall.
Yeah, it would make a nice long shelf.
Maybe the contractor needs to be aware of special events at Captain Roy's during this time period.
Yeah, and maybe they need to be aware of lunch specials too. We'll make sure they know about that.
Could help move that project along.
Yes.
All right, do I have any other questions, comments?
All righty.
All right. Well, hearing none, I want to thank everyone for their time and again, please, if you think of anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out to Brad or any of our team. But again, 283-4070. If you have any follow-up questions. Otherwise, again, we're looking at we're excited to kick this project off next spring and appreciate the whole city's support with the local option sales and service tax to fund this project because it's definitely needed. Definitely needs the pavement reconstruction, and we're very excited about the trail connection from our downtown to Berlin Marina. So that being said, everyone have a wonderful night. Please stay safe and healthy, and have a good evening. So,
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good night.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.